thighs. She's got her legs in her lap. She's got her legs in my lap, and if she wasn't wearing full stockings, I would have already have my fingers in her. Her ankles are small, and my thumb and forefinger close around one. Then I take her instep in my hand, grip her heel, run my hand up her legs, and don't stop. Cup her cunt with my hand, catch her gaze with mine, and she leans forward to kiss me again. Every time I touch her, she lets out a moan, quick with her breath. You have to be quiet, I say, nodding toward the driver. I've known dykes were kicked out of cabs for kissing. I'm not quiet, she says earnestly. Giving me that under the eyelashes shy look. I can tell. And she's not. At my place, I throw her down on the bed, hold her down when she tries to get up, peel off her sweater and skirt, shove my hand in after I've pulled her stockings and underwear down to her thighs. She's gasping already. Each breath a moan, each touch connected to the noises she makes. She is so responsive, and it is wonderful to hear. I don't know exactly when I pulled out my packing cock, sometime in the beginning, but then switched to my hands when I figured out she comes that way. Orgasms on the G-spot, one after another, and I love to feel it inside when it happens. Love the way she thickens and shudders, her whole body twisting, so I hold her down, forearm over her chest, my knees holding her thighs open. I don't know when it was that I took off my bondage belt and waited for her to slide her wrists through it. I took hold of the loose strap and curled it around my hand for grip, twisted it a little, her arms over her head, on her back again, just so that she could resist, just so that she could feel the pressure. My other hand between her legs and shoving inside, fast and hard, or slower, massaging and tender as she thrashed against the pillows again, gorgeous. 6. We lay together and I catch my breath, flex and stretch my fingers. Your arms. Girls like, where are you? I run my palm along her hips, the sides of her body, and she's all nerve endings and sensitive skin writhing under my touch, rubbing her feet against the blanket on the bed. I could take her again. Could roll her onto her back and listen to her breathe and moan. I like the way her moaning becomes practically laughter as she gets closer, how she turns her head to the side and strains with every muscle like she's trying to press all the edges of her, like she's going to tear her way out of herself. La petite mort indeed. She shifts next to me. I balance on my elbows on top of her again. I still have on my t-shirt and my slacks. She's stripped bare. Did I mention that I'm kind of insatiable, she asks. A little embarrassed, and a little shy, a little excited. I grin, so am I. My hand between her legs again, my mouth at her neck. You're wet, I said. Yeah, she breathes in my ear. 7. I could have fucked Tori. I was just hitting my stride, just beginning to feel confident in the ways her body turns on and gets off. There is so much more I know I could do to her. I barely got to smack her. I barely got to use force. There was very little restrainer bondage, very little sensation play, and she could take it, and I know she could. We could have kept going. 2 hours wasn't really quite enough. What a wonderful feeling to have coming away from that near-perfect date, that raw potential for more.
Oh my God, there's even more of you than when I was Sorry. Sorry, everyone in the back. Welcome. Our next reader is going to be Emily.
So before I begin, I just want to thank Sassafras for asking me to come and read here. This is the first time that I've ever told these stories in public. And I also want to give people a heads up that there are descriptions of pain play in this, flogging, piercing, beating. And if that makes you uncomfortable, or the heartbreak that I subsequently described makes you uncomfortable, it's totally okay. You can get up and walk away, and I won't take it personally. If you want me to take it personally, you can email me at Circles of Fire. Again, that's Circles of Fire Productions @gmail.com. I also, before I start, just want to say, I went to a conference once where I had the privilege of seeing 2 different panels, one that had a panel of butches, talking about butch identity, and how much laughter there was at the butch panel. And it was amazing. It was really charming and touching. And then I went to a femme panel, and it was also amazing and touching, and we wept. So I'm aware of what I look like to you guys. And I'm aware of the people that we've just seen. And I'm aware of the story I'm about to tell you. And if I could tell you guys a different story first, I would. I have a memory for faces. I can always remember where we met, what we were doing, who else was there, how I felt about you, and how I thought you felt about me. I can remember what we said to each other. I can trace back the lines of repartee and how each word landed on me, and all the words I couldn't bring myself to say. But mostly, I will remember your face. The first time I realized that kink short-circuited that talent for memory, I was at a friend's house party in Brooklyn, and I saw a face I recognized. But unlike the other familiar faces in the room, no flood of context came with that recognition. I knew that person's face. I knew that I knew it, but nothing. I drew a blank. And this, of course, snagged my attention all the more. I was like, how do I know you? Where did we meet? Because, you see, I am terrible with names. And I overcome that flaw by remembering so much else that I can hustle the small talk, and hopefully no one will notice that faux pas. I spent easily 45 minutes racking my brain, touching the edges of my recognition. How long ago did I see this person's face? What did their face look like when I last saw them? Did we speak? And then a vision of their face in stubborn concentration, transforming into ecstasy, flitted behind my eyes, and in a rush, the rest of the context poured into me. It was a brick wall in a basement underground, and this person's hands bound behind their back. Their partner, small and coiled with delicious malice in front of them, blocking their gaze. That was enough. When it happened again, with another person's familiar face a few weeks later, this time it only took me 15 minutes to figure out what was going on, I realized that my brain was subconsciously enforcing a confidentiality agreement. Now I recognize that particular quality of anonymous familiarity when I see a kinky person's face. Wait, how do I? Yeah, I must know you from the scene. I know, and I leave it alone. But there are other memories I leave alone, with faces of ones I knew quite well, whose names were burned onto my tongue. I was still bright as a new kinky penny when I first met my top. I looked across a crowded dungeon and saw her, and she smiled at me. And to this day, I still remember that smile. It was like she recognized me, and I recognized her, and we didn't know anything about each other, but we were up for it. And it didn't take long before she was my top, and I was her bottom. Later on, she handed me a piece of torn white lingerie to wear. And at that point, I'd never owned any serious lingerie. It wasn't my gender, it wasn't my class, but my new wealthy top told me to put on a white, what is the word, negligee? And I did, feeling the satin pulling across the curves of my body. It didn't quite fit. And the frayed edge was straining across the slope of my hip. She put me in the darkened living room and made me wait. I curled up on the carpet in the middle of the room, a little cold, a little bored, and defiant that any of this dress, this waiting, would throw me. How long did I wait? I don't know. She called me from the bedroom and I went, my bare feet walking across the hallway floor. I opened the door and took 2 steps into the bedroom, our bedroom, I still marveled, and saw her waiting in a leather chair across from the bed. I moved towards her, my heart beating in my throat, eager and curious. Walk a little more gracefully. It was like being punched in the gut. A lifetime of class passing, of clumsily, awkwardly negotiating what it meant to be graceful.